Yeah, I'm seeing no signal up here though, Kevin. What happened there? Okay. Security alert up here now. Go ahead. Well, you've got to cut it off. See you. There you go. You're good. You're good.
This morning,
Good evening, everybody. 7 o'clock. Well, welcome to our quarterly neighborhood meetings. I first of all want to apologize for the confusion about what day we were going to have the meeting and when we were going to start the meeting, but we will do the meetings the second Tuesday quarterly, and it will start at 7 o'clock, not 6 o'clock. So I think we have all our signage correct, and we have all the dates correct as well. So anyway, thank you for the ones who let us know we had some signs that still weren't correct. Well, I want to start off the meeting with the joy of the Easter egg hunt and how incredibly fun that was this year.
you're just cutting me off.
Okay, so cut me off. All right. We're gonna watch the clip. And thank Pam, Deborah Phoenix, for this video. Thank you. So, the proceeds. want to thank all the volunteers who made the Easter egg hunt happen. There were over 8,000 eggs stuffed and chased by all these children. 6,000 of them were stuffed by the Red Wagon toy store. So, lots of volunteers. Becky Noble, who couldn't be here today, was the chair, and Nicole, co-chair. Anyway, so much help from so many people, well over 1,000 people there, but it was controlled chaos. So it worked great. The next thing that we have a few odds and ends that I wanted to address before we go to the budget. One is we have a couple of retirements that are going to be happening in the neighborhood. And one of them is John at Cookin. Jan is here. Reba?
And Risa.
Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Now the new owner of Cookin. Jan will still be working there. So many good things we're hearing about you taking over the store as well. So
It's gonna be great, thank you.
it'll be great. And if anybody wants to meet them, you can, after the meeting too. And the other one is Harold. He's not retiring, we thought he was retiring imminently, but he's now not retiring until July.
July 2nd, this is his last day.
Okay, so we're trying to figure out a celebration for him as well, so we'll keep you informed on that. Tricote, the yarn shop, is opening up where City Sweats used to be, so you might have noticed some of the signage going in. I don't know the opening date for that, but just so you know, it's coming our way, which will be great. So the other one I wanted to, many of you know Mary Turner Henry, who has lived in this neighborhood for 70 years. She's 102 years old, and she has just put out a book called Madison Park Haikus. We will be selling it at the farmer's market at our table when that comes around, and we're talking to Madison Books. But she is an institution in this community and really remarkable. So just be looking for that, and we'll make sure that that's available for you. That's my next one. Oh, I don't know if anybody has walked by Bamboo Tie today, but it was broken into last night. The front door was smashed, and they took some money from the till. There wasn't a whole lot. Mine, who is the owner, is upbeat and says everything will be fine. The insurance is going to cover the replacement of the door, her lost revenue, her lost time. But it's still something we need to be aware of. I feel like this is, I'm hearing rumors in the Public Safety Committee, we're all tuned into this now. This is kind of the time of year that break-ins start to happen a bit more. So, you know, if you see something, say something, kind of thing, that we just don't want to be left not responding. So we're trying to engage with the police department as well. This just happened. But if you can, just always support the local shops and Bamboo Tie in particular right now.
Otherwise known as the treasurer's report.
Okay.
It's not a budget, we're spending
Okay,
it,
so.
so.
That's why I'm not the treasurer.
So you'll be able to see the numbers on the screen, I think. Are they seeing?
Next slide, please.
Okay, so, I can't see it.
Okay.
So cash and bank at the end of March, we had about 205,000. And then we're able to hold funds in one of our donor portals where we're earning some interest. So there's about 10,000 there. The accounting is up to date as of the end of March. And so just summary revenue for the first quarter, we brought in about $816,000. I will always be rounding, okay? We don't need to know the other. And total expenses are $18,000. Most of the expenses are, we did a rehab of the tree lights to try to get them so they're on, more of the time. Also keeping up the planters and paying for the entertainment. We have to pay some of the entertainers in advance, so that happens in the first quarter. So we have a small deficit for the first quarter of about $2,500, and that is very typical for the first quarter, because our fundraising events are the garden tour and the party in the park, and those don't happen until later in the year. We are up to date on our tax filings for the federal government, Washington State. Legal filings are also up to date with the charitable organization registration and our annual corporate registration, which I will be doing either tomorrow or the next day. We also have liability and director's officer policies, which are renewed. The bathhouse project, we have authorized spending of $80,000 and the actual spending is about $50,000. Any question? I went through that kind of fast. Any questions? Concerns? Yes.
Well, will the bathhouse expenses be explained later in the program and that part of the agenda?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Great question.
Good question.
But if you see me on the street, you know, you're welcome to ask me any questions.
One other thing I was gonna say, aren't there more chairs?
There are more chairs if people want.
Yeah, if people would like to sit down, there are more chairs
There are
in the
two chairs over
closet,
there,
and
too.
there are 2 chairs on the front row, and a couple scattered around, so I don't want people to have to stand. Want to. So, the farmer's market returns this year. Doug and Claire, would you guys come up and tell a little bit about what to expect there? Doug and Claire are both from the Seattle Farmers Market Association that runs this market for us. We're so delighted to have you back.
I'm Doug Farr, I'm the Executive Director of Seattle Farmers Markets Association. We run Ballard, Wallingford, Madrona, which is being renamed Central District, and Madison Park has been our newest market. And I was really happy to see coming down here that the neighborhood signs are out and about as I move down here. Just in reference, last year we didn't even have a permit yet. So, we had a few obstacles, but we had a really successful year as I think we came and wrapped up last year, something like that. So this year it's a little bit more extended. We opened up a little bit earlier than we did last year, and I believe we're going a little bit later than we did last year. So, but the size of the market will still be the same, on the same street. And other than Johnny, which was our manager last year, is helping me out as we transition another street market into a farmer's market in South Lake Houston. So we'll be taking on that one this year as well. So I'd like to introduce Claire, which is going to be the new manager down here in the market. You want to give them a little update on some of the vendors, roster?
We're bringing back most of the same people. I've got a couple new exciting farms that participate in Ballard that are really excited to be here. Then we're bringing in a few new exciting vendors as well.
Last year, this market was half the size of Madrona's market, in size-wise. We had about 25 vendors here. Madrona, we had about 45 or 50. And yet this market performed equally, or close to equally, as Madrona. Madrona didn't see any dip in its sales. It actually had a better year last year than the previous, as we see in all of the farmers markets. But this year came so strong in Madison Park that it shows us that the community really stood up, supported, and wanted to have a farmers market. And I just want to give a lot of props to you that stood by. 8 years ago, I kept having people from Madison Park say, we want to have a farmer's market, but everything that was presented just didn't feel right. And yet Octavia came along and persisted, actually convinced me into doing it for a number of meetings. And then over the course of about 9 months, we all together, and last year we pulled it off. So thank you to the community for showing up.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
So how much influence do you have over the vendors that show up and when they show up and what they bring? Because early in the market last year, like stuff would sell out in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So do you control that, or do the vendors kind of dictate what they bring if they participate? I'm just curious how that happens.
Okay, so last year was a brand new market, we didn't have any data to support it, and it was really last minute when, by the time of which we got permission from some people, and got cooperation from a lot of people, so, some of the vendors didn't really know what to expect. A lot of the vendors are a little hesitant to bring too much, and or they didn't really have the crops ready because they had not really planned it. It was a last minute thing. Most farmers have to set up their planning 6 months in advance, so they have the crops for the amount of markets they do. They don't wanna grow a lot of stuff and throw it away. And so they really just came in there, not knowing. As for product selection, Claire and Johnny have been working really hard to come to pull a number of vendors that we feel are really strong. And so we do a lot of jury. We run a farmer's market similar to a grocery store. It's just a grocery store that acts like a circus. And we show up, the tents go up, the products go out, and all of the animals show up.
And that's us.
Yes, so we work with them, and then a lot of farmers don't really know, like especially new farmers, we had some new farmers down here last year, and they don't really have the expertise of retail. And so our job is to work with them from what permits they need, to how to sell, to how to product display, to a lot of different things. We are the team supporting incubators, we wanna see them flourish. So, yes, if we see that that's happening within the first hour and a half, we'll talk to them and say, hey, how can you increase production?
Yes, one other question.
How many vendors are you anticipating this year? I know you probably don't have exact numbers yet, but just roundabouts compared to last year.
I have about 22 lined up, kind of hoping to add a little bit later in season, but kind of start there, see how we can fit folks in and get off to a good start before adding too many new faces.
One of the things about our farmers markets is we are certified Washington State Farmers Market, so everything that comes to the market is grown in Washington State. And so if you show up too early in the season, and we've increased and are opening the market earlier, so that means that some products are not gonna be here the first week. We will, it's kind of like we have a slow opening, but it gets the doors open, and then all of a sudden we start seeing product. It's also based on the season. If we have a hard winter, our farmers are gonna be about a month late. And so some of them don't even show up on opening day because they don't have the product, whereas the other ones might show up and they're like, these are the first carrots of which we picked. So they bring as much as they can, but they really can't predict based upon weather. So we're susceptible to that. You're not gonna find bananas, oranges, avocados, mangoes, stuff of which we get asked. But,
Can I ask a follow-up?
you just did.
Another. Are we expecting flower vendors this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That actually goes on to the question that I had for you. What cool stuff have you seen in other markets that you want to bring to Madison Park?
I think having kind of unique crops and things that aren't, you're not gonna walk into your local grocery store and see more specialty flowers and specialty heirloom kind of. If you see cool tomatoes, you wouldn't necessarily when you go into Fred Meyer, you just see kind of typical.
One of the things in which we have a challenge is there's just not that many farms of which bring butter and cheese. And that's a hard one to get to our farmers markets. Especially, we work really closely with all the farmers markets in the city. There's 17 of them. There's 4 directors. I work closely with all of them. And so I don't wanna say we compete between markets, but farmers have to find the best situation to serve them. And so butter is really hard to come by. cheese is hard to come by, even bread is kind of hard, because there's limited amount of, vendors that are available, things like that.
We'd love to see it.
We work our best to try to get every category filled, like a grocery store.
Maybe one more question, you probably need to.
There was always a line at the berry vendor. Might there be two this time?
Yes, we have like 2 specifically berry vendors and then one that has berries along with other stuff, so hopefully there will be enough berries for everyone. We have Sidhu, we have Shoe, and Happy.
So Hayton is the largest berry farmer in the state. Most of them, like Sidhu and some of these other vendors, they might do 5 to 7 farmers markets, a small one. And Angelica, which is the owner of Hayton, a few years ago, they did 77 farmers markets with berries. And some of those berries have to be picked by hand.
Yeah.
So, if you think about how much volume they do, and they come up from the Skagit Valley, and a lot of that is organic. And so they try to do their best, and they have long lines because they have beautiful product, and stuff like that. Sidhu is a wonderful family, they're gonna be here, but, so we try to bring in enough that will support the community, but also make sure that each farmer has strong enough sales without diluting them by having cash. Okay?
So, the next person we have coming is me. So, as you know, the last couple of years, we've had a lot of beach closures. And Nate is with Seattle Public Utilities. He has been incredibly helpful, responsive to Friends of Madison Park, trying to figure out what can we do, why are there being so many closures? And I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. So, thank you for having me. Obviously, as the city, we want this neighborhood to have access to a swing beach, to a functional park. We also recognize the benefit to the economy of the neighborhood by having people come and use that park. And so, we've been discussing why the beach has been closed so frequently over the last several years, and what options essentially we have to try to keep it open so that it can support both the people recreating, but also the businesses that rely on that foot traffic. So for your beach, you're both blessed and cursed in that the beach is quite shallow. It's great to swim in, but it also means it warms up fairly quickly. Warm water is a great incubator for bacteria. So my job at Seattle Public Utilities is to identify sources of pollution, bacteria, chemicals, other things that we don't want to be exposed to. Try to identify the sources of those and control them before they can reach our water bodies and impact our ability to recreate, to fish, to swim. Been working with public health, Seattle King County Public Health, who run the beach sampling program during summers. They come out every week and they collect a E. coli sample from the water. They run it for E. coli. If the E. coli number is either above 300 colony forming units, so that's either above 300 or over time their samples stay above 200, they'll shut the beach down. That's the way their program works. That's the way that they're kind of founded. So they come out weekly and they collect those samples, and they're the primary agency that's closing the beach. The source of the bacteria for those closures, we don't quite know. And so I'm here to basically explain what we're trying to do to keep the beach open as much as possible. Explain why it closes when it closes, explain the process for reopening, and then a little bit about what you can do and what we plan to do to try to keep it open. So, as I said, you have a nice warm, shallow beach here. That means that any bacteria that gets in there is going to multiply. Common sources of bacteria in the Seattle area that we see at swimming beaches are geese. That's our #1 source of bacteria. We do also have a lot of human sources though. And so human sources are going to be leaking sewer lines at your residences, vessels, so boats improperly discharging sewage. RVs is something that we encounter a lot in the city. dumping wastewater. We have no legal places in the city of Seattle to dump in RV sewage. We also have just swimmers. We all have bacteria on our skin, and with a lot of people in the water, that's going to contribute some bacteria. We also have pets, dogs and cats, improper disposal of wastes. All of those are potential sources of bacteria to the lake. In your particular location, we suspect that the primary source is going to be geese, and that it could also be some leaking sewer lines. Older neighborhoods in areas that have a lot of, we'll say we're built kind of in wetter environments, more swampy areas where there's a little bit more settling of the ground, will tend to open up the connections in sewers, and those can leak into the groundwater. So, variety of possible sources. But what I'd like to explain is what we're gonna do about it. That's kind of important. So when Seattle King County Public Health comes out and samples, they sample weekly. They're not really able to adjust how frequently they sample. And when they collect this sample, the numbers are, they take the mean of the sample, so the average of the bacterial counts of the samples, and as long as they stay high, the beach will stay closed. Seattle Public Utilities, we operate a little differently. We're focused primarily on sewer lines and storm lines. So when we become aware of an issue, we can close the beach as well. We try to minimize that. But we can sample as quickly as possible after we close if we think the beach is safe to reopen. The reason that the beach closes is we want to prevent people from getting sick. E. coli bacteria can cause stomach issues, it can get people quite sick. And so it is a safety closure, but we do recognize that we may have some flexibility to reopen the beach more rapidly than has been done in the past. So I'm working with Seattle King County Public Health. They're the experts on beach closures and bacteria, and we discussed some potential options. So what Seattle Public Utilities plans to do is, starting in a week or two, as long as the weather stays dry, we will be collecting samples out of the storm lines, the storm pipes that collect runoff from the roads in the neighborhood, and running those samples for E. coli and other potential pollutants, and looking for sources of bacteria that exist now in those stormwater pipes. If we start now, before the beach is really being used for swimming, we can try to identify the sources of bacteria and then get them controlled before the heat of the summer comes, before people are swimming in the beach. That way the bacteria is halted from getting there. So that's coming in the next week or two. We're training the staff now on how to do that. They started today. So you'll see people wandering around the neighborhood, opening the maintenance hole lids in the street, pulling out water samples, and I will update you if we find anything. I did screen this neighborhood maybe about 8 years ago, and we didn't find a bacterial source in their stormwater system. Those sources are often, again, they're those sewer lines that get disconnected, or they're new construction, a new home that went in, and the construction company may have mixed up where the toilets go. Unfortunately, that's not entirely uncommon, but it is much more common in larger apartment complexes where one unit may be plumbed wrong, and also in newer construction. We've already screened the neighborhood, as I said, so there's none of the existing construction will have that cross connection where the toilet's going where it shouldn't. We will also be doing some business inspections. This can be kind of scary to some of the businesses in the neighborhood. We have no enforcement authority for these inspections. What we're really looking for is, are they storing their trash correctly? Are dumpster lids closed? If they have a deep fryer, do they have a grease barrel? You'll sometimes see those in alleys where they put their used grease. Those are sources of bacteria. We distribute free spill kits in the event they have a spill, and clean up that waste that spills before it gets into the storm drain and get into the lake. So we will be doing that. We do that already. That's not a change. It's done every 5 years at every business in the city. I screened this neighborhood in 2017, so it's due, essentially. The other thing is the Seattle Parks Department will be putting up some signage in the parks here, letting people know that they shouldn't be feeding bees. I like wildlife, we all like wildlife, but Feeding geese, especially food that they're not supposed to be eating, bread and other grain products, causes them to create more waste, and that waste is a great source of bacteria. So they'll be putting up some signage, letting people know that they shouldn't be feeding geese. Another thing that you all can do to help with the geese issue, again, we like wildlife, but dogs are a great deterrent to geese occupying beaches. They love to chase them. Again, I have nothing against geese, but this is probably not the best location for them to hang out. So feel free to let your dogs chase geese, and hopefully that helps to reduce some bacterial sources. Yes?
You can't have your dog on the beach.
True. In the
Because then your dog goes in the water and.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so that's the double-edged sword, is if you do have your dog down here, please pick up any waste that it drops. That's a source of bacteria. Try to keep them on the grass for that reason. Recognize it's not a perfect solution, but unfortunately, there's some interesting rules around how we treat geese. We're not allowed to control them by law in any other means. So we have to leave them alone, but dogs don't. Yes?
A quick non-use question. So how far, if there is a closure, contamination, how far does that go? I'm just thinking of
Yeah.
orderliness versus the beach.
Sure.
Because I'm always telling people, the beach is closed, maybe don't swim in the lake at our place.
Right. Generally, the sample, when public health collects it, they'll collect 3, centroid, so middle of the swimming beach area, and 1 on each end. Our rules, or I'll call them guidelines, is that 100 yards in either direction from where the hot sample was. So if you have a high sample, try to stay away from that location by about 100 yards. Unfortunately, public health is they're only going to sample the public beach. So it becomes a bit of a roll of the dice for where your home may be, where your dock may be, because there isn't a sample available. But what I can say is if this beach is closed, it's really common that the next beach down will be fine to swim, totally safe. So it's not, the whole lake is contaminated, it tends to congregate in very shallow water, and it tends to be localized. It doesn't move like an oil sheet. So that's something to keep in mind. I wouldn't be concerned, but I can't give.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if there is a sewer leak discovered, how fast is the city able to clear that?
So that's a great question. The question is, if there is a sewer leak that's discovered, how quickly are we able to repair it? So if the leak is a private residence or a private building's side sewer, the little pipe that goes out to our main line pipe, the property owner, or the owner of that residence, has 30 days to fix it. And we do have resources to help fix it. It can be expensive. The vast majority of the times in this neighborhood, it's going to be a root clog in the pipe. So tree roots got in, blocked it, and it leaked, essentially. That's a pretty quick repair, pretty quick fix. And what we can do is we can install, and what we will do, in any beach with or any neighborhood with a swimming beach, we will bring in a pump, and we'll actually bypass the sewer. So we'll pump the sewage around the location that's leaking back into the sewer line. It can be a little noisy. We do have new pumps that are a bit quieter, but that immediately eliminates the bacterial source. And then generally 2 to 3 days later, you won't even notice it in the water body anymore. Bacteria dies pretty fast in sunlight. So it's pretty quick, but the property owner would have 30 days to fix it. If it's a city sewer line, our main line in the street, we will fix it the day we find it. Yeah, or at least we'll eliminate the source of the bacteria the day we find it. If it's very complicated, it can take up to a week if we have to excavate a large section because of the pipe collapse. Yes?
Yeah, so if you say the beach is closed on Tuesday, when do they test the next time?
So Seattle-King County Public Health, if the beach is closed on a Tuesday, that means, so when they collect the sample, it takes 24 hours to grow the bacteria. So that means they would have sampled on Monday. They would sample the following Monday and could potentially reopen it. So they do it weekly, the same day every week. We did talk about trying to get them to sample more frequently, but because of the way the samples work for public health, where they take the mean of the samples. If they sample very frequently and all of them have high results, the beach will actually stay closed longer because the results are additive, and so it swings that average. For us, we also have to grow the bacteria for a day, but we can come out the following day after we receive the result, and we can collect another sample. There is a little risk in doing that. We have, in a few locations, gone out and we've had high bacteria repeatedly, and it just extends the closure. We can either sample very frequently and try to open it as soon as possible, or we can wait 3 days after we know that the bacterial source is gone, and then we can just reopen without sampling. So we're going to sort of pick and choose based on what we think the source is. So if we find a leak in the sewer line and we control it, we will likely wait 3 days to sample. Because if we sample 2 days later and we get a high result, we have to wait 3 more days to reopen. So we're gonna work to try to open things as rapidly as possible. Again, we really, really want people to be able to use the beaches, and we really want people to go to the businesses that are adjacent to the beaches.
Probably 2 more
Sorry.
questions, just because of
Yes,
this question is a little off the subject,
sure.
but I happen to be walking to the Beaver, we have a Beaver Park here,
Mhm.
where it is. And, this company put in a big, plywood box,
Mhm.
and what they say it's for is to take lake water and use it to irrigate the golf course.
Okay.
And then use it to irrigate the golf course, well, is that like, is that legal?
Um,
And it's a really ugly thing
Yeah.
they put there, and it's like an eyesore in our cute little park. So what to do about it? Who to
Yeah.
contact? I think
It would probably be
the
me.
lady-
It would probably be me. I'm happy, yeah, I'm happy to take a picture. I can look and see if they got a permit. It can be legal to use lake water to water things. You do have to have a
water a
permit.
whole golf
Not a whole
course.
golf course
So
generally.
that's what they said.
Also, golf courses have they use a lot of fertilizers, so then
I
watering
know, so
it
then-
will wash the
I know,
fertilizer in.
exactly.
That helps with bacterial growth. So I will give you my information, or if you can tell me where it is, I can go
Yeah,
take a look.
it's at McGilvra and 37th, there's a
Okay.
little beaver park, and you
Sure.
see, I was there when they were building this.
Yeah, let me do a
It's
little
pretty
digging.
ugly.
It sounds not a lot. Yeah, suspect. That's a great way to say that. Yes.
So the way you close the beach is after it tests positive.
Correct.
Is there any work being done to go through, particularly these buildings that are hanging out over the water, and scope their sewer lines?
Yes.
Once every 3 months, once every 6 months?
Yes, so that's something I didn't touch on. Last summer, there was a break. I wasn't the responder for the break. I primarily have a desk job now, but my old team that I was with for many years did respond. There was a disconnect, so there were several units that were essentially dumping their sewage into the lake.
But we found it's because of the testing, not because it was tested.
We actually found it, a paddleboarder saw it, and they reported it, so please, if you do see something, report it. We were there the same day it was reported, worked with the property to fix the line. They have a weekly inspection on their sewer line now, and they've agreed to continue that indefinitely. We are going to, and this is something I failed to mention as well, we do have a boat. We'll come out early in the season and we're gonna look at all of them. Most of the side sewer disconnects, so on all of the overwater structures, the sewer line just dangles below the dock. And so it's not protected from impact. And over winter is primarily where those disconnects happen. There will be a storm, the water levels change, and something will hit the sewer line and disconnect it. So we're gonna do an inspection, likely in May. Basically, it'll be a boat training exercise for us, but we'll bring a boat out, go under the structures, inspect all the lines, and then, all of the overwater structures were contacted last summer and notified that they need to make sure that they're tight lined, they're not leaking, and that they're doing periodic inspections. We don't have the legal authority to force a weekly inspection, but we do have monthly inspections at many of the facilities. There's one in Alki, that's over the water that we have, they have to do a weekly because they've had issues. So if they have a history of problems, we can be more aggressive, but we can require them to do a monthly inspection of the sewer lines just to make sure that the system works. And that's actually covered by Seattle King County Public Health.
So that could cover our whole strip.
Yes, yeah, all of the overwater structures here
But
will
it
be
doesn't
included.
now.
The one that had the leak does do weekly. The others, we asked that they do it monthly, and they did say that they do them monthly, but we haven't gone out and done the check ourselves. And we will do that check this spring. So in May, we'll be out and we'll inspect them all. So you'll see us, we'll have a big red line on our boat that says environmental compliance, so, yeah. Very good.
So, has been so responsive because obviously the last 2 years have been hard. One thing you ought to know too is that they're going to do a check on the side sewer line in this building as well. Because obviously this is an older building and the restrooms are used quite quickly. So this was good. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much to SPU for being responsive. So our next, oh, yes, I can look here. PCC is coming to Madison Valley. And we have representatives here from PCC. So they're just gonna tell us, and you can ask questions, give us a little information about when they are working and what to expect. And we brought treats. Okay. Terrific. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Hello,
My name is Susan Livingston, and
I'm Kim Lund. Not sure what we do. Yes, so I'm the customer service team for PCC for the co-op. And we're just here to connect with you guys, answer questions, tell you a little bit about the store that we're really excited about. To be a part of your neighborhood. And I have cards that I'll share afterwards that have our contact info. So if you guys want to reach out and you have additional questions, concerns, any of those things, it will be a direct line to our team.
I personally been concerned about the traffic that will be created by going in and out of the garage. What do you anticipate how that will impact our neighborhood?
So typically when we have our store openings, our business is spread out through the day. So we, in all those other store openings that we have had, there is a consistent flow throughout the day, but we don't typically see a lot of backups or a lot of disruptions in the neighborhoods that we move into. We're a pretty small store, and so while we are, we're busy, we don't have the huge business that a lot of the larger stores do. It really is just kind of like a small flow throughout the
Is it gonna be similar to like the one, your one on 23rd?
It'll be similar to that, yeah. Even a little smaller. So the business will be sized appropriately for the neighborhood. So I think that it's going to be very complimentary, and we really do think that it's going to fit in really well with your community.
So, how long do we have for this section? I don't wanna overstay our welcome, but I'm happy to talk.
2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Okay. I wanna make sure and answer your questions. So again, my name is Susan Livingston. I lead marketing and purpose at PCC, and I wanted to start off just sharing a tiny bit about PCC. I'm sure you recognize the name, and you may or may not have shopped at our stores. We are the country's largest food co-op. We have 16 stores. Our Madison Valley store will be our 7th location. We are the largest food co-op in the country. The next biggest, so we have 16, now 17. The next largest has 2. It's a co-op that has 2 grocery stores and 2 gas service stations. So we're a really awkwardly sized little co-op. We are a $500 million company. So we're really proud of that. We're definitely a for-profit business, but we prioritize people, planet, and profit. And we're constantly working it like a portfolio where we're thinking about how to balance all those pieces. At different times, different pieces come forward, but with every decision we do think about all those things. We are absolutely community-centered. If we are not part of your community and able to join and participate with you, our store will not be successful. That's how our model works. We are deeply connected to our customers, to our staff, to our supplier community. I'm sure you have lots of questions about how PCC coming to the market would impact the small business community here. That is such an amazing part. I frequent it myself. So we're happy to talk about all those things. For those of you who may not know, we have a really strong quality standards program. Every single item that's in our store is reviewed underneath those quality standards by category. So what quality standards is a fancy way of saying what's in the product and then what's not in the product. And then how do we treat people, animals, and the planet, and however we get that food, that product from wherever it's made, raised, or grown to our customers. And there are a million little small choices in there, and we believe each of those choices can be a choice for the things where your values aligned on, or it can be harmful to things. And we want our entire business model, every act that we do, from how we spend our money to how we employ people to how we participate in the community, to represent that commitment to people, planet, and certainly making a profit. We are owned by our members. We have 122,000 members. Our stores range up north to Edmonds, down south to Burien, West Seattle's our furthest west location, and then Park-Visit Quad's furthest east. Our offices were recently relocated. We had a different space, kind of in the north end of the waterfront, very controversial. Happy to talk about it if you want. But we recently, last summer, we had a store at Rainier Square in our downtown space. You may have read that we opened it. It was open for 2 years. Sadly, due to foot traffic and pandemic-related stuff, the traffic wasn't there, so we had to close it. Last summer, we were delighted to reopen that space. If you take the whole space, 1/3 of it now is a little store. We call it Corner Market. It's not on the corner, but it's just around the corner from wherever you are. It's basically the things that we're selling really well downtown. It's our prepared foods, it's grab-and-go items, a fair amount of staples for people who live in the area, but primarily catering to customers that work in the area, commute in, and then some residential. The other 2/3 of that space is now our office. So we have about 100 staff there at the office, and about another 1,500 out across the stores. So I'm gonna hit pause there. Are there any questions about the company that you wanna know about? Who we
I
are?
just wanna add in that
Yeah,
we're a
please.
values-driven organization, which means that we realize that we are strongly connected to our communities and our success is dependent on that connection, right? And that we believe that our success is helping you guys to be better, and that helps us to be better. So our members and our customers in our store are very special to us, and we want to be good neighbors, good partners, but a store that you want to be at, that you want to choose in your neighborhood. And so we work really hard to be a good part of the places that we move into, that we want people to want us there. And so we work very hard to listen to our communities, to listen to the things that you want, to adapt and to change to those things. But we also believe that the rising tide lifts all the boats around us. And that's what we find when we open our stores, is that our shoppers are your shoppers, right? And that when we benefit, that everyone around us benefits. And if those things are not true, we wanna listen to why, and we wanna try to help solve those things. Yes?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is going into the space that was part of city people's,
Correct.
and the parking will be on the street?
On Madison,
There's a-
right,
there's
the
a
entrance
garage.
Right
on
in
Madison.
front.
But there's a garage. There's
Oh,
there will be a
The
garage.
parking garage, yeah.
Okay.
The entrance and the exit from the parking garage goes out into Madison. Correct. If you stood there from 3 to 5 in the afternoon on a weekday?
I have not. I sense that there's concern.
There's a huge amount of concern. I drive that street almost every day, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's backed up from the light up to Martin Luther King. How are your customers gonna get in and out without accidents potentially happening?
Those are things that we monitor, and if there is backup, we work with the city to see if there are things that we need to do in terms of if we need to add a crosswalk, if we need to add a stoplight, if we need to have, traffic control, we will hire people to help that flow happen. We have city stores that are in very crowded areas, and we manage those things really well. We wanna make sure that we are an add to the neighborhood and not a takeaway. So if there are backups that those things are causing issues, we're gonna find a solution for them.
So I might have missed this dumb question. Do you know when you'll open?
Yes, it's gonna be, in the early fall.
Before holidays.
Yeah.
Let's take two more questions.
That's a good question.
How many parking spaces are gonna be available?
60.
Sixty.
60.
I have a two-part question. One is the apartment parking using the same entrance as your store, or is it in the back?
That's a great question. I don't
I know the answer.
Let us take
The
that as a
parking
follow-up.
for the apartments are down below, off of Madison.
And
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
on the
like-
back side of the building.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like there are other shops that may go in underneath. Do you know what those are?
We don't, our landlord, Belmar is the person who will, is the company that will choose to make those decisions. They're typically complementary though to what we do. They're often located near pet stores or frankly, what else? Like professional services, kind of stuff, personal services, so we'd be happy to let you know as soon as we hear anything.
What do you
Pause
know?
it, we'll pause it there, but what's a good way for people to follow up with you guys?
I have a pile of business cards.
They have cards.
In the back.
And
I just want to know what your hours are going to be.
I don't know that we determined that.
I don't know. Frequently they're 7 to 11. Let us take those as actions to be tied to it.
Thank you so much for coming.
Our personal business cards, but I also have these cards which have our contact information that goes directly to the customer service team as well as the
And I will say CCC is moving into the apartment with us in events and going to the park and supporting our neighborhood. And we met with a number of people from CCC with Madison Valley and at Cafe Flora, and the community down there is supportive of having them come in and have a grocery store for their community. So,
I can share one quick update. Since that meeting we had, thank you again for hosting our team. We did hear that there was a lot of concern from the local businesses about particularly staff from Cafe Flora and others being actually hit in that intersection where there's a crosswalk. So we've been in touch with Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth and she's.
a crosswalk going in there, it has been confirmed.
There's a crosswalk, but there will be blinkers on it. Because a lot of it is like the dusky hours, yeah. So she's been really responsive, so we'll keep you updated on that as well. Okay,
there are lots of chocolate.
enjoy the chocolate.
So
Dessert.
before you leave, please pick up some chocolate.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. The next thing we want to talk about is the available auction.
Oh, great, actually, do one other thing first, well, is have the date on there, because I don't know the date. May 2nd. Great. Well, McGilvra Elementary is an amazing elementary school that some of you may be alumni of, may know alumni, may have kids there. And as you know, Seattle Public Schools has been going through some challenges, post-COVID, demographic changes. In the past few years, there was some thought that McGilvra might close last year. The Seattle Public Schools board changed, the superintendent changed, but I think that we would, I got involved in schools advocacy at that time. I think that to me, having a really great and beautiful public elementary school in our neighborhood anchors the neighborhood. I think keeps people connected and new families coming in, and I just think public education is like the wellspring of democracy anyway. So I think that having a strong public school system is very important. And in defense of that, we're having the PTA auction. The PTA auction has been a big source of revenue that helps bring in specialists that ensure that kids get from all of the things that SPS can't cover necessarily. And just really makes McGilvra an excellent school. So we would love it. This year, the auction is going to have alumni are in attendance. It will be at the Tai Club, I believe, again this year, which is this beautiful venue on the water. It's small. There's great wine. There's Becky, who is our co-vice president, did the Easter thing. I think we'll probably brought baked goods last year. I'm sure it'll be amazing food. There's great items from a bunch of local businesses. Thank you to all the local businesses that have donated. If anyone would like more information, they can find it at mcgilvrapta.org. They can buy tickets. It's a great and easy night out. You'll see obviously a lot of people from the neighborhood. So if you have any connection to McGilvra, you want to be connected to McGilvra, you want to be connected to public education, then talk to me after this. Go to mcgilvrapta.org, buy tickets, attend this. If you'd like to be involved with McGilvra or schools advocacy in general, I would love to talk after this as well.
What's the date?
May 2nd. Saturday, May 2nd. And just to emphasize, you don't have to have a child or a grandchild or a niece or a nephew or anybody who goes there. I mean, we're gonna go to the auction because it's a wonderful thing to give back to our community as well. And McGill is so supportive of everything we do with Friends of Madison Park. So attend, it'll be fun. Okay. Spring cleanup is coming up. Nancy Beecham will talk about that.
Hello, everybody. So spring cleanup, you're probably aware, we come out twice a year and we do a spring cleanup with the Adopt a Street program for the city of Seattle. And we've done it 4 times so far, and we have collected 4,425 pounds of trash, 295 bags of, I think they mean recycling, but we know it's far more bags of compost, right?
Right.
It's like 100.
Well, we know that we've outdone every other
Every-
neighborhood on the number of
Especially
leaves
the fall.
and compost material.
All the leaves, right?
Yeah.
And we have had 142 volunteers and 385 cleanup hours from those volunteers. So we've participated for the last 4 years. This is going to be our next one on May 16th. Please come volunteer. If you've been before, you know it's fun. If you haven't been before, come. It's super fun. Families with kids tend to congregate around the park and do a lot of their activities, and it's fun for the kids to see their friends. It will be even more special this year because we have a lot going on that same day. So come with us, clean up in the morning, and then go to the farmer's market. And go to the pop-up shop that's actually.
We have the artisan market.
Yes.
Angela's look.
Okay.
That's.
So there's going to be a lot going on that day, so make it a party all day long, have coffee, we're gonna have snacks for the kids, do all that, and then enjoy the rest of the day in beautiful Madison. So also, be on the watch out for our cleanup on social media, posters and requests out there, and please send those out, forward those out to your friends. Get the word out, we wanna have plenty of volunteers, and we wanna increase the number of crud that we get cleaned up off the streets. Every year we do a survey of the merchants and try to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support them. And Jan, I talked to you this year, I remember that. And I talk to everybody every single year to figure out what we can do to keep our streets clean and attractive for customers. So please come on out and thank you.
Oh, sorry, one quick question. Do I need to stay the whole time?
No.
Okay.
No, and by the way, the meal for all the schools are great. They sign up for community hours and those kids are fantastic workers. So yeah, you just come for as long as you can. It's 9 to noon, but if you wanna come for an hour or whatever, half an hour, that's fine.
Do you,
Where do you need?
are you asking people to bring anything with them, rakes or gloves or anything
If
like
you
that?
have something, great. The city does provide us with some tools. We tend to run out of
Yeah,
certain
never
things.
enough tools, lots of gloves, but I have lots of bags. So yes, if you have
Yeah.
whether it's a rake, I mean, we're sort of looking at a lot more sweeping because, we're raking some leaves, but the little pods from all stick-on trees.
Yeah,
have fallen down
all the
this way.
merchants were asking, please get rid of those pods.
Right, so.
We meet at the DMA parking lot, and we have a little tent that we set up for you, so you'll know right where to go. We'll have a banner there and, yeah. All right, looking forward to seeing you.
Well, as we sit at the little table, and it brings on the notion of the bathhouse renovation. We have been working with Parks Department for quite a while now. I don't know how many months or years at this point. But we have gone through what they call the pro-view process, or it's the first step of the pro-view process. And we are now at the point where we can go to more detailed design work on what a renovation of the bathhouse can look like. Brendan, I'm gonna let you kind of go, you want me to?
Yeah,
go
no,
ahead. You can
I'll
go with it.
collaborate on this one.
Yes.
So, it's very exciting. I think we've gotten through basically every committee we can at parks. A lot of committees, took basically a year to go through. We were working with architects that have done other kind of like historic buildings in the city, including Fort Warden, working with Anchor QEA, a very respected landscape architecture firm that did Baden-Bower Bay, other places that have a lot of complexity around coastline regulations, and just wanting to be respectful of the heritage of the place. The latest, we're also working with the co-op preschool to make sure that both that they're included in the new space and that we're thinking of where they could go in the interim. But I'm sort of getting ahead of myself because where we really are is we have talked to parks, we showed them different rectangles on the ground to see where could we build if we were going to sort of expand this building in a way that it could accommodate more community uses. So the preschool would still be in the building, but maybe there could be another large space that could be, the yoga classes, it could be FOMP meetings, it could be other things. Parks, basically, we threw some ideas to parks where maybe there was a preschool nearer to the playground and then this building was repurposed. Park says they do not really want to be responsible for any additional structures, but they said it's okay to continue building or rebuilding in the footprint of this, including potentially some of the hard surfaces, so like that area out towards the road. Took a long time just to get that answer, so we just got that answer a couple weeks ago. With that answer, we're basically going to have the architects move to a slightly further into conceptual design phase, which really just means they're going to draw kind of a big 3D box, basically. And then we'll take that 3D box to SDCI, the Department of Construction and Inspections, and then see how they feel about all of this to make sure that, we're not going too high, we're not scooching too close to the road, and all those other kind of considerations. They're like the other big agency that can really throw a wrench in the works. There's a bunch of other considerations, like, if we move this dock over, then maybe we have to talk to both the state and the federal government and the Corps of Engineers, but that's all in the future. The good news is, it seems like this is possible. The biggest kind of like hurdle has been cleared, short of also raising all the money that would be necessary to build this structure. But if you would like to be involved, if you care about the future of this place, I think, this could be a really amazing community hub in the ways that Mount Baker Community Center is both small and respectful of the space, but also has a lot of different uses for the community. So if that's interesting to you, you'd like to be involved for a little bit, you'd like to be involved for the many years that will take to bring this project to fruition, we would love to have you on the board. I can take a couple questions now, but we can also take questions after and anytime.
Is there consensus that this building has to become bigger?
There is, we've got a lot of community feedback from both the businesses, from a bunch of residents. I think that it is, I would say it's a strong majority opinion that there are other uses that people would like to see at the park. Those uses are quite varied. There's people that would like small watercraft rentals. Some of the other parks have some concessions. The Mount Baker Community Center has multi-purpose rooms and other things. I'll say that we today are using this space, because the preschool very graciously, preschool has the lease on this building and has had it since the 70s. They very graciously let us use this space for our meetings, but because of their insurance and just the realities of this being a preschool, there's a lot of restrictions on what we can do here. So I'll say that, I think even from the purpose of FOMP, like space is challenging for hosting events and. Look at the valuable ones. And we have to set up everything back in the preschool layout by the time we leave here. So I will say consensus in a neighborhood, there's consensus on nothing, but I'd say there's a strong majority opinion that people want different things from this park. And frankly, this park hasn't been updated substantially since the 1960s. Back when this was the only way to get to Bellevue easily, you should look, there's some beautiful historical pictures about what this neighborhood used to be. Obviously this neighborhood is still very beautiful, but this park used to have, fountains and a bunch of other kind of interesting attractions. Not that we're doing any of those things, but I think it's interesting to see where, the history of this park as well.
I must say, my concern is, this has been a very sweet, lovely place, and everything that always changes and gets bigger is not as sweet anymore, And so that, I think, to me, that's a big question. I've lived here for decades, and I have a concern. I don't really want this building to be much bigger and attract all these different other groups and personally,
No, I think that's a very fair concern. You're not alone in that concern. I think that we would want anything that is built here, I think I think there is some consensus that we want to sort of respect the scale, certainly we don't want to take up nothing that is not already paid could potentially be included in this. I think also, just, nothing that's gonna drive a lot more parking problems in the summer, I think. But there are things that even landscape mitigation, for example, we could have less, like the lawn in the ways that is attractive to geese, but you can imagine it being landscaped more attractively. And all these changes could be kind of put together, and, we would love anyone that has kind of any opinions on it to be involved in the process, because it's probably gonna be a decade long, and a lot of conversations before we get to kind of anything really firm. Any other questions?
What are they thinking for like restrooms or the swimming facilities? I mean, it's really old and kind of gross.
I will say, what they're thinking is just newer, cleaner restrooms. Beyond that, we are not, we don't have anything firm,
Okay,
but
but-
that's definitely a complaint.
But
that
that
we've
would
heard
be
a
a
lot.
part of it when, if they were.
Yes, it's also like not ideal that right outside the entrance of the preschool, there's a lot of things that are not ideal about the layout. Yeah. The doors don't work.
Yeah.
Free town, we'd love for you to be involved.
So where are we now? Yeah, the One Seattle plan. There's a lot more that we want to get to, and I know we're already running over time, so I'll try and be quick with this. The One Seattle plan is that the neighborhood of Madison Park is now designated a neighborhood center. That's not a big deal in a lot of ways. We are a neighborhood center. We kind of meet all the criteria for a community, walkable, you name it, we're meeting all that. Now as a neighborhood center, we're at the next stage of designated zone heights, which does have a big impact in this community, especially with just a number of things, not only single-family homes, but also the business area, which has some historical context as well. All I would say right now is that, because we could talk a long time about the One Seattle plan, and maybe that's a separate meeting. But right now, the push from the mayor's office and the Office of Planning and Community Development is, the mantra is now taller, denser, faster. And we just want, and I should always say, I always look to Brenda, because we are not opposed to increased density, that is part of it, but also to do it in a thoughtful way, retaining tree canopy, retaining a lot of, not impacting a number of issues that we have because we're lake bottom here. If you want to participate and have an opinion, or you want to be following it, we have a One Seattle Plan page on our website. So please go to it. It gives you a lot of information about the plans and some of the hearing dates that are coming along. But all of this is going to be happening pretty rapidly in the next, within the next year. So, the new mayors, the push is to implement this as quickly as possible. So just be sure that you're having your voice heard, yes.
Do you see any difference at all between the Harrell and the Wilson administrations in terms of the One Seattle plan? Is she taking a new look at it at all?
Well, my understanding is that there was someone in her office definitely taking a look at it. I don't see any changes from what Mayor Harrell was doing. Councilman Lynn has come out and said taller, denser, faster. And that seems to be, the meetings are kind of going with that notion that let's get this done, let's not let things, linger. So, we have already presented to the city, to the council, and Office of Planning and Community Development, what we feel is reasonable on zoning heights. Whether or not that gets considered, I think is a big grab, who knows, so.
Is increased parking part of increased
Just the opposite.
density?
Yeah, just the opposite. So that's one of the concerns, is because we have a bus route here, it's not a rapid transit route, but it is on a bus route. We also come under the umbrella of, for every 2 units, 1 parking space, except for that can even get shrunk a little bit more with ADUs and DADs. So, it's a challenge for every neighborhood to figure out how to increase density, affordable housing, and not have it change the feel of a lot of these residential neighborhoods. There's a number of different groups who are approaching the city with potentially alternative visions. And we've got some of that information on our website as well. And the Tree Coalition is trying to be heard as well. Okay, I'll get off my high horse on that one.
There was a question.
Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say a comment.
Yes,
I would say I've recently been to the city council meetings.
yes,
Where they talk about it, and I think it's really valuable if anybody can go, because you get 1 minute to speak. And I've done it a couple times, it's not my comfortable space, but I do it. But there's a lot of voices there, like young voices, renters.
right.
So, so it seems a little bit imbalanced. So if anybody has the time, I would say it's valuable to do it. And the tree canopy is being demolished. There's not a plan for any big trees at all. It's, 90%, they're just gonna take them all down, just so you know.
Regional centers are more intense in that regard as well. We're not a regional center, we're not as big as, say, a Queen Anne neighborhood or some of the other ones. But we're trying to, I would say, as Friends of Madison Park, we want to be sure that we're getting the information out and being a voice for the neighborhood. But not the singular voice. People have different opinions on this, and whatever your opinion is, if you want the city to hear you, you've really got to step up and speak. Okay, thank you. Friends of the Madison Park, you want to explain who you are?
Sure. A couple of years ago, we basically petitioned to work with the Parks Department to become Friends of the Park. And so while Brenda's taking this long decade approach of making things improve, we're trying to do something right away. And so what we've done recently is, as you can see from the picture, we took out all the blackberries on the, kind of the north side. And we've actually grown the beach. If you go check it out, as you see this young man sitting here just looking at the mountain, we put in a picnic table. We're trying to get more put in there. It's a beautiful view spot from the park. And this is our group's doing this, so I'm looking for people to join. We're also looking at trying to improve our garden space. So we're looking at putting in kind of like cobblestone to kind of just make it a little more picturesque. We've got to ask the Parks Department to give us a new rainbow sign because that one's not very rainbowy. And then they're also going to do that on the park, the play area as well. We also need the North Madison Park as well. And then we've got this really cool landscape artist named Octavia. I don't know if you know who she is, but I had her scope out the plants that we want to redo right here in front of the bathhouse. If you look at some of these things, they've been hacked and shredded. They're kind of in disarray. Some of these plants are just need to go. And so we're looking to actually pull these out and put in new plants. And Octavia went to the board and got approval to get us some financing to get those plants in. So we're gonna try to get this done in the next month and a half, where we're gonna work with the city to get these things pulled out, as well as I need strong people like you, sir, to come out here and help me out and get these pulled out. And yeah, so up next, sign replacement, put in the cobblestone. Those cobblestones are gonna be the actual from Seattle, like old streets. We're gonna get those cobblestones for a kickback to the history. Every first Tuesday of the month, I will be out here. I would love to have other people here. 9 to 11 is my approach. Gotta keep attacking those blackberries. They're gonna keep coming back. We've gotta keep on the top of the weeds. So every first Tuesday, I'd love to have you come out with me. But then we're also on the 16th, when we're doing the cleanup around here. We are hoping to also be doing, work on this area here. So at a high level, that's kind of where we're at.
What about utensils for working?
I would say what she said, bring what you got. I will drag my stuff down from my house. I've asked to get like a a box that we could put, tools in, but if you have something, bring it, otherwise, you can borrow whatever I can find.
So what hour do we?
Nine to 9.
Before we lose everybody, the garden tours, did we lose Kip? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. So, this will be our third year of a garden tour. Has anyone gone on any of our garden tours? So we're doing it again this year. We've got almost a whole new slew of parks, gardens to go and see. It's gonna be on the 13th from 10 until 5. There's gonna be a check-in at Bank of America.
Just say 13th of June.
13th of June, sorry. 13th of June, so we're a little bit later this year, hoping that ensures that we're gonna get good weather. Last year we had great weather. We sold over 600 tickets. I think we raised 15,000-ish, something like that. So we're hoping to do at least the same this year. We have 13 or 14. We're still trying to nail down. We've got some people drop out and some people add on their home. So it's gonna be a great event. We also always need volunteers. Betsy Dunklin is here, and she's one of our, can you raise your hand? I want people to know who you are. We've got a lot of volunteers already signed up, but we can always use more. And really, as a volunteer, we're asking people to host. We're calling you a docent. At each of the homes, we want someone at the front to welcome people as they come and someone in the back, just to make sure that things are okay. So we can always use more volunteers. If you're not interested in it, but you know someone that is a gardener or that might want to come to it, have them go to Friends of Madison Park, get their ticket, and if they want to volunteer, if you are a volunteer, you actually get a free ticket. You only volunteer for a short period of time. Short period of time is short enough that you'll have enough time to go see other gardens. Let me say it that way. But you get a free ticket. So they're $25. So if you want to host one of the gardens, and Betsy will help you, is one of our organizers. That way you can see the gardens, but you can also volunteer. And let's see, what else? Anything else?
Well, just as a volunteer, you don't have to know a lot of information about the plants. We'll be providing a list if people are interested in that. Oftentimes people are interested in how you use the spaces. We all have postage stamp size yards. So it's, how you're able to take advantage of the space.
We've got water park this year. It goes basically almost from the tennis club to Canterbury. So it's not even a mile walking from one park to the next. You may have to drive in order to be able to see them all in the amount of time that you have. But if you're not interested in doing it, but you know someone else that might be interested, let them know about it. It's a wonderful event, and we can always use more volunteers. We do have it set up, like if you want to bring a friend to volunteer with you, we can put you at the same garden, so at the same time slot, so that you can leave together and go see the other gardens. So anyway, it's coming up June 13th, 10 until 3. Yeah. That's it.
Two more events to talk about. Music in the Park.
Music in the Park is coming back this year, Thursdays in August, so there's 4 Thursdays in August this year. We'll have music out here on the lawn, starting at 6:30. We just finished selecting the band, so we have a nice lineup this year with a variety of different styles. A couple bands coming back from previous years, and then a few new ones. So I think it will be a good list, and I'm not gonna try to name them off the top of my head because we'll have them up on the website shortly. So if you're interested, take a look there in a few days. We're applying for a grant through the city of Seattle this year, which will be exciting. We applied a couple of years ago, and that really helps out covering costs of staging and permits and paying bands, and the cost of doing business goes up every year, as we all know. So we're also working on getting sponsors. I think we've almost got sponsors covered, but we're always looking for more sponsors. So if you are interested in sponsoring, or if you know a business that might be interested, please reach out and let us know. And it's a really lovely night, and to hang out with your neighbors and hear some good music and hopefully enjoy some sunshine.
Emily, just for our knowledge, how much does each one of those cost, more or less?
I think so I think when we did our budget for last year, it came out to around 17,000 for the four.
Okay.
So 4,000 change per event.
So price is going up and some of the cost of the band, we're estimating about 20,000 for the full night.
So sell more garden tickets.
And it's free.
That's
I mean,
free.
that's part of the beauty of it all. Just bring your family, bring your friends. It's really a lovely week. Great.
Thank you.
So the last, oh no, there are 2 tidbits more. One is the yard sale. The yard sale, this is our first year of trying a yard sale because if nothing else, we're adventurous. So this year we're gonna try a yard sale in August 9th. We originally, if you might have seen it in the Madison Park Times or possibly in Stroll, we originally were looking at May 9th. And then we decided there is way too much going on in May. We were kind of overwhelmed with meeting that deadline. So August 9th, and it's really a simple process. We are just as Friends of Madison Park trying to facilitate it. So you can go on our website and you can register, doesn't cost you anything. We do suggest a donation if you're so game, but you can, if you're in a home and you want to do it in your driveway or your front yard, you can put out things on that day. If you're in apartment buildings or condos, we are getting a permit to close a section of East McGilvra between 42nd and 41st. We're also talking to the school. The school, I think, is going to let us use part of their grounds for people to bring items to sell there as well. So easy registration on the website, and we will also, just prior to that day, then put out a map so people who come can find out where the sales are going on. So this is an experiment, but we're gonna give it a try this year. And the emergency hub is there you go, sorry.
Nice and speedy. But hello, I'm Rachel. I'm part of the Madison Park Emergency Hub. I see some familiar faces in the crowd. In case you don't know what the Emergency Hub is, we're a group of people passionate about preparing for any emergencies that will affect our neighborhood. For example, the big bad earthquake that we all know might be coming at some point in the near future. What can our community do to support each other during that scary time? So what we've planned is in the park over here by the tennis courts, during the daytimes, during an emergency event, we'll have a volunteer situation set up. People can come in, find communication from other people in the community, access resources that they might need access to, and hopefully just be supportive of your neighbors during that time. We have plans and practices, drills, every summer, where we practice the setup and the takedown of this community hub event. And if you want to participate in that activity, in that practice setup drill, it's on August 8th at 10 a.m. So it's a Saturday, I believe, so you can go to the market, you can come see us. And if you also want to learn more, we have information on the Friends of Madison Park website. We put little tips in the newsletters sometimes as well. So if you're looking for more information about how to be prepared for yourself and your loved ones, feel free to check that out or ask any of us after the meeting is today. That's it. Thank you.
We did it all. Thank you all for coming. If you've got any questions, come up and ask. I also, one of the things I failed to do, come get candy. And then there's also, there is a volunteer sign-up, so if there's something you'd like to volunteer for, or just let us have your email, or if you want to get on the newsletter, but you haven't done that yet, there's a sign-in sheet a little bit longer. Thank you all so much.